My beloved, there are moments in this life, quiet, loud moments, trembling moments, where the soul cannot help but notice the divine is calling. You may not hear a thunderclap from heaven. No booming voice from the sky may echo through your chambers. But child, God speaks, and oh yes, he speaks in the body. He whispers in the bones. He moves through the marrow. He dances with your pulse. Let me tell you now of the 7 signs, the sacred 7, where your flesh becomes his microphone. Ah, my dear heart, sit with me a while and let us speak softly about that holy shiver, the kind that creeps along your spine like truth unveiled in moonlight. You know the one. It comes unexpected, uninvited, but never unwelcome. You could be sitting in the comfort of your own chair, wrapped in the warmth of familiarity, and suddenly the air changes. The room shifts, and your body, yes, your sacred vessel, quivers with a touch not born of this world. The skin awakens. The back arches just a little. The hair stands tall like soldiers in reverence. This is not coincidence. This is not mere biology. This is God, child. This is the Spirit stepping near. Let no man or woman convince you that such a moment is ordinary. It is sacred. It is timeless. It is the eternal brushing up against the now. When that chill slithers from the base of your spine to the crown of your head, you are being summoned. You are being noticed. You are being loved in a language too ancient for words. The shiver is not simply a response to air or sound or fear. It is the body's way of bowing to presence, to holiness, to the invisible majesty of the Most High. There have been days, I know, when your heart was heavy and your spirit tired. The world shouted so loudly that the quiet voice of God seemed drowned in the noise of survival. Bills needed paying. Children needed feeding. Hope felt like a distant cousin you hadn't seen in years. But even then, in your weakness, God found a way to reach you. Not through grand proclamations or lightning bolts in the sky, but through a simple shiver. A divine ripple across your skin. A reminder that he is near, that he has not forgotten you, that you, in your silence and sorrow, are still worthy of divine attention. You see, the Lord does not always come roaring. Sometimes he tiptoes. Sometimes he enters like a breeze through the open window of your soul. He brushes past your shoulder while you wash dishes. He slips into the room when you are folding laundry. He visits you in the hallway at work when the day seems endless and your smile is paper thin. And when he does, your body, wiser than the mind, recognizes him first. It reacts with a holy quiver, a sacred chill, a tremble not born of fear but of recognition. Oh yes, baby, that's God. That's him saying, be still. I am with you. Now I have felt it. More than once. I remember sitting in the back of a church pew one Sunday when my heart was stitched with sadness, and I thought the Lord had forgotten my name. The preacher was mid-sermon, and I wasn't really listening. My thoughts were wandering, lost in a wilderness of my own making. But then a moment came, a scripture read, a truth spoken, and that shiver moved through me like wind through tall grass. Not just a reaction, not just a feeling, but a visitation. I sat upright. My eyes welled. My hands trembled. God had entered the room. And he had come just for me. You must understand that your body is no stranger to divinity. It was formed by holy hands, knit together in your mother's womb with intention and poetry. You are not an accident. You are a masterpiece. And like any great creation, you respond to the touch of your Creator. The shiver is your body's way of saying, I remember you. It is memory. It is longing. It is love unspoken. Don't be quick to dismiss it. Don't call it silly or strange. Don't tuck it away in a drawer labeled nerves or coincidence. Honor it. Let it stop you mid-step. Let it hush your tongue and slow your breathing. Let it draw you into that quiet space where the soul and the spirit commune. For in that holy tremble, something eternal is unfolding. A message is being sent. A seed is being planted. A prayer is being answered. Sometimes the shiver comes as warning, Other times it comes as comfort. Sometimes it is a gentle push to move. Other times it is a command to stay. But always it is love, divine love, fierce and tender, patient and persistent. The kind of love that chases you down even when you've turned your back. The kind of love that stands in the storm and waits for you to notice. My child, the Lord does not always use lightning. Sometimes He uses goosebumps. He uses the trembling of your fingers and the stiffness in your spine. He uses the body to awaken the soul. And that, my dear, is a miracle in motion. So the next time you feel that sacred shiver, whether in the quiet of morning or the cows of noon, pause, close your eyes, whisper, speak, Lord, I am listening. And you will find that He was never far. He was never silent. He was only waiting for you to feel. You are more than flesh and bone. You are a sanctuary. And when the spirit brushes against the temple that is your body, the shiver becomes a hymn, a song of recognition, a symphony of surrender. Let it move you. Let it remind you. Let it be the beginning of your listening. Because, baby, yes, baby, God is speaking, and your shiver is saying, I hear you. Oh, come closer now. Let me wrap my arms around you and speak softly, for this is not a tale for the distracted ear. This is for the one whose heart has grown weary and whose chest feels too tight to breathe freely. You know the weight I speak of, don't you? That sudden heaviness, that unspoken pressure that lands upon the chest like an invisible stone. Not pain, not quite, but presence. A sacred press, a divine touch disguised as discomfort. And you think to yourself, oh, why do I feel like this? But darling, that feeling is not meant to torment you. It is not a curse. It is a call. Yes, that tightness in your chest is not always the symptom of stress. Though Lord knows this world gives you enough to carry, it is not always anxiety, though fear does come knocking some nights. Sometimes that pressure is heaven knocking on your door. It is the Spirit saying, child, I need your attention. It is God leaning in close, pressing His palm gently against your sternum, saying, there's something I need you to see. You see, God does not always speak through a thunderclap or a chorus of angels. Sometimes He moves through your breath, through the way your heart beats harder, through the way your lungs feel caught between inhaling hope and exhaling grief. That pressure in your chest might come in the stillness of night, when all the world is sleeping and your thoughts are as loud as sirens. Or it might arrive in the middle of laughter, in a crowded room, when you're wearing your best mask and nobody suspects the storm swelling beneath your skin. Don't dismiss it. Don't be too quick to explain it away, for God often speaks in ways that cannot be measured by logic. The world will tell you to take a pill, to breathe deep, to distract yourself. And yes, there is wisdom in rest and care, but there is also wisdom in listening, in asking, Lord, what are you trying to tell me? Because when your chest tightens, when your body feels like it's holding something too large for words, it may just be that your soul is being expanded. It may be that you are being stretched into a new awareness. God is calling your attention inward. He is breaking through the static of your daily grind. He is saying, come away with me. There's something stirring in you. There's something I've placed inside you that needs your full attention. Oh, how often we run from it. We keep busy. We scroll through screens. We laugh loud and keep moving. But the Lord waits. He waits until the world grows quiet. He waits until your defenses are down. And then He presses in, not to crush but to comfort, not to punish but to prepare. The pressure you feel is purpose knocking. It is destiny rising. It is the Spirit speaking in a language deeper than words. I've felt it myself. There were days when I thought I was simply tired, simply overwhelmed. But the more I leaned into that feeling, the more I sat still with that tightness in my chest, the more I began to understand. It was divine instruction. It was the Lord saying, you're out of alignment. You're trying to carry what was never yours. You've let fear sit on the throne of your heart. Let me take my rightful place. And baby, when I surrendered, when I finally breathed deep and said, "Here I am, Lord," the pressure did not vanish, but it transformed. It became peace. Not the kind of peace that comes from a quiet room, but the kind that comes from knowing you're not alone. The kind that comes when you realize that the weight you feel is not punishment, it's presence. Holy presence. The kind of presence that steps into your soul and begins rearranging things. The kind that doesn't ask for permission because it already owns the lease on your heart. So if your chest feels heavy, if your breath feels short, if something inside you is crying out without words, do not fear. Sit with it. Place your hand over your heart and whisper, "Speak, Lord." And then listen. Listen with your whole body. Listen with the ache in your bones and the stillness in your spirit. He will speak. Oh yes, he will. He may be telling you to let something go. Something you've clung to for too long. A dream that's no longer yours. A relationship that's breaking you instead of building you. A fear that's dressed itself up as caution. Or maybe, just maybe, he's telling you to hold on. To stay in the fire a little longer because something beautiful is being refined within you. Sometimes the tightness is labor. You are birthing something, a new level, a new calling, a new strength. Child, don't run from the pressure. Lean into it. Press your palms together and pray, not for escape, but for understanding. Say, "Lord, what is this weight trying to teach me?" And he will show you. He will show you how he uses even discomfort as a doorway to destiny. He will reveal the treasure hidden in your tension. For the Spirit of God is a gentle yet relentless teacher. He will not shout when a whisper will do. And so he speaks through your body, through your breath, through your beating heart. That tightness is a trumpet. That pressure is a prophecy. That discomfort is divine. And one day when you look back, you will see it clearly. You'll remember that night you clutched your chest and felt like you were breaking, and you'll realize it wasn't breaking. It was breaking open. You were being made new. You were being carved into a vessel fit for glory. And every breath you struggled to take was a breath that brought you closer to purpose. So now, beloved, when the pressure comes, don't resist it, receive it. Know that God is near. He is not punishing you. He is pulling you close. He is pressing his hand against your chest and saying, "I'm right here. I'm in the very center of your storm. Let me breathe with you. Let me carry you." And you will breathe again. You will rise again, but not as you were. You will rise wiser, softer, stronger. You will rise having heard the voice of God in your own body. And that, my dear, is a holy thing. Ah, my sweet soul, let me tell you about tears. Not the kind you cry when you stub your toe or cut your finger, but the kind that rise up like a tide from somewhere deeper than your bones. The kind of tears that fall when you haven't said a word, but your heart is praying in silence. The kind that slip down your face even when your lips are smiling, and your voice says, "I'm fine." Oh, yes, those tears, you know the ones. They come when God is speaking. There are times when words fail, when even the most poetic among us have nothing left to say. And in that quiet, when the soul can no longer hide behind language, tears become the tongue of heaven. They speak what the heart cannot utter. They are not weakness. No, child, don't you dare believe that lie. Those tears are strength surrendering. They are courage unmasked. They are your spirit responding to the divine whisper of God, saying, "I see you, I feel you, I am here." You may find yourself sitting in a room, all alone, with the weight of the world pressing against your chest. Maybe nothing dramatic has happened that day, no catastrophe, no heartbreak, no wound freshly torn open, but still the tears fall. You feel them roll, slow and sure, down your cheeks. And you don't know why. You just know something holy is happening inside of you. That's the Spirit of God moving. That's heaven knocking softly on the door of your emotions, calling you into communion. And I've lived long enough to know this. God does not always use thunder or fire to speak. Sometimes he uses tears. He speaks through that ache that won't go away. He speaks through the memories that rise up when you least expect them. He speaks through that sudden wave of grief or gratitude or conviction that has no name but only water. He speaks and your body listens, your eyes respond, and what flows from you is truth in its purest form. There is something about crying, truly crying, that baptizes the soul. It washes away what pride would rather keep hidden. It softens the calluses that pain and time have built. It opens the gates of healing, of revelation, of rebirth. Sometimes God cannot get a word in until you cry, until you let go, until you stop holding everything together and allow yourself to break beautifully, tenderly in his hands. I remember a woman I knew who never cried, not at weddings, not at funerals, not when her heart was shattered into 1,000 pieces. She was proud of her strength, of how well she could hold it all in. But one day, in the middle of a quiet church service, she sat down and wept like a child. No one had touched her, no one had said a word. The Spirit had simply come near. And in that closeness, her soul could no longer pretend. Her tears spoke all the prayers she had buried beneath her smile, and in those tears she was healed. You see, the tears are not always about pain. Sometimes they're about beauty too deep to hold. Sometimes you'll be walking down the street, and the sun will hit the leaves just so, and a breeze will kiss your cheek, and suddenly you're overwhelmed by the presence of God. Tears come not from sorrow, but from awe, from gratitude, from the unbearable lightness of knowing you are loved by the Creator of stars and stillness. Other times your tears may come from conviction, from a sudden, unshakable knowing that you have strayed from the path, that you've been living small when God called you to live bold. And in those tears, God is not condemning you. No, he's correcting you in love. He's calling you higher. He's wiping away the dirt from your vision and saying, now see clearly, come home. It is a holy thing to cry when God speaks, because those tears are evidence that the message has reached its destination. The wall has come down. The armor has been pierced. The soul has received. And even if you don't understand it all in that moment, even if you can't explain what's happening, you know something eternal has touched you. You know you are not the same. Let no one make you ashamed of your tears. Don't you let this hard-hearted world tell you to suck it up or get over it. They don't know what your tears are doing. They don't see the angels that gather around when a child of God weeps in worship, in repentance, in wonder. They don't hear the Spirit translating every drop into prayers more powerful than speech. But God sees. God hears. God knows. When you cry, heaven listens. When you cry, the Spirit draws closer. When you cry, the weight begins to lift, and the healing begins. So the next time tears start to fall for no clear reason, don't rush to dry them. Don't apologize. Don't hide your face. Sit with those tears. Let them teach you. Let them speak. Say, Lord, what are you saying? And you will hear. Not always in sound, but in the sacred knowing that rises in the quiet afterward. That still peace, that inner shift, that breath you didn't know you were holding, finally released. Yes, child, tears are a message from the depths, a message from God. And even when no one else understands, God does. He bottles every tear. He honors every sob. He kneels beside every shaking shoulder. So cry if you need to. Cry because your soul needs rain to bloom. Cry because that's how healing begins. Cry because in the language of heaven, your tears are the loudest praise. And know this, those tears are not in vain. They are the evidence that God is speaking, and your heart is listening. And baby, when the heart listens, it always finds its way back home. Sometimes, child, your hands begin to move before your thoughts have even formed the words. You ever felt that? That sudden urge to lift your arms, to place your palms together, to raise them high or stretch them wide, not because somebody told you to. Not because of habit or tradition, but because something deep inside says, move. That's the Spirit. That's God. Working through your limbs, expressing something your mouth might be too afraid or too full of reverence to say. Oh, don't you overlook the sacred messages in your body. Don't you brush away that pull to lift your hands or touch your heart or stretch your fingers toward heaven like a child reaching for their father. You see, when God speaks, it's not always in thunder and lightning. Sometimes he speaks in the whisper of motion, in the dance of your fingers, in the trembling of your arms, in the quiet surrender of your hands raised up, not in defeat but in praise. You may be in your kitchen, stirring something on the stove, when suddenly you feel that nudge. Something shifts in your chest, and your hands stop mid-motion. You close your eyes, and your hands rise. Or you may be walking down the street, your thoughts tangled like vines, when you feel a sudden warmth settle into your hands, as if heaven itself had kissed your palms. That, baby, is God. The lifting of your hands is ancient. It is a cry without words. It is the soul remembering who it belongs to. It's no small thing. It's not a performance or a ritual. It's a conversation. When your hands rise, they say, Lord, I surrender. They say, I'm open. They say, touch me, heal me, use me. When God hears every syllable of that silent prayer. You ever notice how children reach out without shame? When they need something, when they want to be held, they don't second guess. They don't rehearse. They just reach. That's how we are with God when we lift our hands. We're saying, pick me up, Lord. I can't do this down here by myself. And God, in his great mercy, always stoops low to gather his children. There is power in your posture. Sometimes God stirs your spirit, and before you can think about what to do, your body already knows. Your arms rise like branches. Your hands unfold like petals. You don't plan it. You just obey. And in that moment, heaven touches earth through you. I've been in rooms where nobody sang, nobody spoke, but the atmosphere was thick with glory. Because one person lifted their hands, you could feel the shift. You could feel the presence. The room didn't need sound. It needed surrender. And surrender is what raised hands represent. Sometimes those hands are lifted in pain. Oh yes, baby. Sometimes they rise soaked in tears, trembling under the weight of sorrow, heartache, or uncertainty. But still they rise. That is faith. That is strength. That is beauty. And God sees that kind of beauty and says, I will dwell here. Other times, your hands might move in ways you don't understand. You may find them pressed over your heart or laid gently on your head. You may feel the sudden need to stretch your arms out wide or bring them to your chest, palms up, like you're holding something sacred. Don't dismiss that. That's spiritual language. That's your body agreeing with your spirit. That's God communicating through the vessel he made. Now, I know this world teaches us to be still, to be small, to hold back, especially in public, especially if we're afraid of what people might think. But child, when the Lord moves you, you move. When the Spirit prompts you to raise your hands, don't be afraid of looking foolish. There is no foolishness in faith. The only true foolishness is ignoring the call when God is speaking. You ever been in the middle of prayer and felt your fingers tingle? That's not nerves, that's presence. That spirit electricity flowing through your veins saying you're not alone. I'm here. You ever felt your hands become warm, as if God placed a flame in your palm? That's Him preparing you for healing, maybe your own, maybe someone else's. Your hands are instruments, your hands are vessels, your hands are altars. Even in stillness, even when they don't move, your hands can speak. A hand resting over a heart, a hand stretched toward the sky, a hand gripping another's in quiet unity. Each of these is a sermon. Each one tells a story. Each one invites God to dwell in the movement, in the meaning, in the moment. You see, baby, when your hands lift, your heart follows. When your fingers stretch toward the heavens, your spirit begins to rise. And when your body worships, your soul begins to heal. It's not about being in a church. It's not about being in a crowd. Sometimes the most sacred worship happens in the secret place, in the bedroom, the bathroom, the backyard. Wherever your spirit says, lift up holy hands, that ground becomes holy. And I know some may feel self-conscious, some may feel they're not spiritual enough, or they haven't earned the right to lift their hands. But let me tell you something, beloved. God is not measuring your perfection. He's measuring your openness. He's not impressed with performance. He's moved by sincerity. So if you feel that stir in your chest, if you feel your hands wanting to rise, don't hold back. Let your body respond to God's presence. Let your hands become wings. Let them become a language beyond language. Let them praise when your mouth cannot. Let them testify when your heart is still learning the words. And when you lift them not just as a gesture, but as a gift. Lift them with expectation. Lift them with trust. Lift them knowing that every motion, every movement is a message sent to heaven, and heaven always replies. Oh yes, child, heaven always replies. There comes a moment sometimes when you least expect it, when your body stops moving, your thoughts hush, and your chest grows still, but not with fear. No, not fear, child. It is a quietness that wraps itself around you like a soft shawl passed down from your grandmother's hands. It's a kind of stillness that silences every worry, every doubt, every noise of the world. And in that moment, you feel something you cannot name pressing gently on your heart. It's not heavy, it's not loud, but Lord, it is undeniable. That, my dear, is the peace of God. That is how the Almighty speaks. Through stillness. You see, we often look for God in the grand things, in the thunder, in the fire, in the earthquake. But He isn't always in the noise. No, sometimes the divine enters like a breeze whispering across your shoulders. Sometimes He slides in like sunlight through lace curtains. And when He comes like that, when He settles into your spirit, He brings a quiet that nothing else can imitate. A peace that doesn't make sense to the mind, but makes all the sense in the soul. Oh, child, there are times when you're walking through the chaos of life. Your bills are due. Your heart is aching. People are talking behind your back, and the storm clouds gather thick above your head. Yet somehow, some way, you don't break. You don't shatter. You don't even worry like you used to. Instead, there's this blanket of calm that tucks itself around your chest, and you say, I don't know how, but I know it'll be all right. That calm, that assurance, that is God speaking. That is the Holy Spirit saying, be still, I've got you. The world will tell you peace comes from having everything in place. A job, a house, a title, a partner, a plan. But that's a fragile peace. That's the kind of peace that disappears when one thing goes missing. God's peace? Oh, it's different. It stays when nothing else does. It shows up in the midnight hour. It stays when the job is gone, when the house is quiet, when the tears won't stop falling. God's peace is not the absence of trouble. It is the presence of trust. I've sat in hospital rooms where the machines beeped like anxious hearts, and doctors whispered words meant to prepare us for and right there, in that place where grief should have swallowed every ounce of faith, I saw eyes shining with serenity. I saw hands clasped in prayer, voices humming hymns, too soft for despair to interrupt. That peace, sweet, steady, sacred, was God Himself, saying, I am near. You may be wondering how peace can be a sign that God is speaking. Let me tell you, because peace is not natural in a storm. It is not ordinary in the fire. It is not normal in the valley of the shadow. So when it comes, when you feel that quiet resting on your bones, it is supernatural. It is sacred. It is evidence that heaven has leaned close. Now don't confuse peace with passivity. Don't think that to be still is to do nothing. No, baby. Stillness is power. Peace is authority. Peace says, I am not moved by this mess because I know who my God is. Peace says, I don't have to fix everything. I just need to rest in the one who holds everything. That kind of peace speaks louder than any sermon. It preaches to your spirit. It says, let go, let God. I remember a night when the weight of life pressed so hard against me I thought I might break in half. Bills were overdue, friends were scarce, and sleep had long left me alone. I cried out, not even sure God could hear through the noise of my worry. But after all the weeping, after all the questions and silence, I felt something warm spread across my chest. I exhaled. For the first time in days, I exhaled. The tears slowed. My heart beat steadier. I had no answers, but I had peace. And that, my love, was God saying, rest. I'm here. This peace will come when you choose to trust.